Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is March 24th, 2024, and Barcelona have received yet another massive bid from Saudi Arabia. Also, I will explain to you the mathematical side on why Barcelona are not looking to offload any important players. And finally, Joao Cancelo has called Manchester City ungrateful. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and before we begin with the news, just a quick reminder to make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. All of this helps this channel continue to grow. Also, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you head to Bet Us. Both links for kickback and Bet Us are down below in the description. Now I'll begin with the news that Jules Koundé was substituted in yesterday's match between France and Germany, where Germany won 2-0, and as a result, alarms were sounded in Barcelona as the player was seen limping off the field and as injury worries began to circulate within the club. Well, now it's being reported that Jules Koundé's injury is not serious. It looks like he received a pretty hard knock during the match, and as a result, Deschamps, as a precaution, decided to bring Jules Koundé off, and that's when he was seen limping off. But it seems that it was just a blow, so there is no serious injury to Koundé, and it's expected that he will rejoin Barcelona once the international break is over, which of course is great news for Barcelona because we do have some pretty important matches coming up, including the Clásico match against Real Madrid, and of course the quarterfinal match against PSG, where Koundé will need to be on top of his form as he will most likely be facing off against Kylian Mbappe. Now, France does have one more friendly match to play this upcoming week against Chile, so we're gonna have to see whether Deschamps will use Koundé or whether he will keep him on the bench as a precaution. And I have to say, I'm really getting tired of these FIFA international breaks. I hate these FIFA international breaks. You know, the players are already stretched out pretty thin where they have to play multiple competitions like the Champions League, La Liga, Copa del Rey, etc. They're playing sometimes 2 matches per week, and then to have them go and participate in these FIFA international breaks only adds to their exhaustion and to their fatigue. Now, I do understand you need FIFA international breaks for like the World Cup qualifications, but this international break is pure friendly matches, so it makes absolutely no sense to me, especially during this last stretch of the season where the players are already accumulating fatigue and injuries, having played most of the season and already being tired. So this absolutely makes no sense to me, but what can you do? We all know how greedy FIFA is. Now on to the news that Barcelona have received yet another massive bid, and this time is for Robert Lewandowski. Now, as I reported in yesterday's video, Barcelona have received a massive 100 million euro bid for Rafinha from the Saudi club Al Hilal, which is where Neymar currently plays, and Al Hilal are even offering Rafinha to triple his salary. And today it's being reported that Barcelona have received another massive bid from Saudi Arabia. This time we don't know what club it is, but it's also worth 100 million euros. And this time is for Robert Lewandowski. Now, I don't think it's Al Hilal because Lewandowski had rejected Al Hilal previously, so it could be one of the other clubs in Saudi Arabia, because after all, the way it works in the Saudi League, they have like this big fund that the Saudi League owns, which they use to pay players, and then they decide where these players are gonna go or to which club they're gonna go. Plus, I think 4 of the clubs are owned by the King of Saudi. So we don't know what club it is, but we do know that Barcelona have received that 100 million euro offer for the Polish striker. And of course, this offer doesn't mean much because Lewandowski did reject Al Hilal in the past. He is not looking to leave Barcelona. He's very happy in Barcelona. He wants to fulfill his contract. And not only that, he feels that he is fit, as he said many times in past interviews, where he thinks he still can compete at the top level in Europe. So of course, I don't see Lewandowski wanting to make the move to Saudi Arabia, no matter how much money the Saudi Arabian clubs offer. Now, I also think that Barcelona are not going to look to sell Lewandowski. As I reported before, Barcelona are not willing to push Lewandowski out of the club. You know, after all, Barcelona did sign Lewandowski kind of kind of the star for like this transitional period where it would allow them to have like this high profile striker while they rebuild the team. So I don't see Barcelona wanting to do this season. Maybe next season where Vitor Roque has already had, you know, more minutes. We know that this second half of the season is for Vitor Roque's adaptation, and next season Barcelona will count on him more. So I don't see Barcelona wanting to get rid of Lewandowski now to have Vitor Roque being a starter next season. I don't think he is ready to start every single match next season, but maybe in the summer of 2025, once Vitor Roque has played a full season with the first team, maybe then we can talk about it. But for now, I don't see this happening on Barcelona's side. And of course, as I said, Lewandowski is not looking to leave Barcelona, let alone to Saudi Arabia. It is reported that Lewandowski would want to go to the MLS, but not now, because he still believes that he can compete at the highest level. And speaking of offloading players, as I reported in yesterday's video, Barcelona are not looking to make any big signings, because in order to do that, Barcelona would have to offload some important players in the summer, and Deco is not prioritizing that because he believes it would weaken the squad. So since Barcelona are not looking to offload any of their big players, they're not going to be able to make any big signings, and as such, Barcelona are only looking to make short-term solution signings or low-cost signings because they believe they have enough talent on the squad in order to compete the upcoming season. Now, another reason why Barcelona is not looking to offload big players is because mathematically speaking, it would not make any sense. Let's take, for example, Frankie de Jong, where it was reported that Manchester United were willing to pay around 100 million euros for the Dutch midfielder. However, given the financial fair play, Barcelona would not be able to use that 100 million euros. I know I've seen comments saying like, oh, sell Araujo for 100 and sign Leao, or sell Frankie for 100 and sign Leao. That's not possible, and I'm gonna explain to you exactly why. Now, let's say Barcelona do receive a 100 million euro offer for Frankie de Jong. 40 out of those 100 would have to go to cover the hole that Libero left, because as we know, Libero did not pay the 40 million euros for Barca Vision. So you subtract 40 million from 100, you're left with 60. Now, out of those 60, you have to cover the amortization of the player. Frankie de Jong has 2 more seasons left on his contract, and the amortization of those 2 seasons would be around 23 million euros. So once you subtract that, then now you are left with 37 million euros. And since Barcelona are not under the 1-to-1 rule, they would only be able to use 35% of those 37 million euros to sign new players, which leaves you with 12.6 million euros. So if Barcelona receive 100 million euros for Frankie, they would only be able to use 12.6 to sign a new player. And when it comes to the salary, Frankie de Jong has an 18 million euro salary gross. And again, since Barcelona are not under the 1-to-1 rule, they would only be able to use 60% of the space that Frankie de Jong would leave on the wage bill. So that's around 10.8 million euros. And that's gross, of course. So the net salary of whoever they sign will be around 5.4 million euros. So if you get rid of Frankie de Jong, you would only be left with 12.6 million euros to sign a new player. And you would only be able to pay that player around 5.4 million euros. And for those figures, you're not going to find anyone as good as Frankie or even as close to Frankie de Jong. So of course, it wouldn't make any sense to offload someone like Frankie de Jong for that money. Now, let's say we don't subtract the 40 million euros from Libero. Let's say Barcelona find a different way to cover that hole that Libero left. So again, the math would be 100 million euros for Frankie. You subtract the 23 million euros for the amortization. Whatever you have left, you can only use 35%. So in that case, Barcelona would only be able to use 26.6 million euros with a salary of around 5.4. And again, you're not going to find a player as good as Frankie de Jong or even close to being as good as Frankie de Jong for those figures. Now, if Barcelona do receive the money from Libero, the 40 million euros from Libero, then Barcelona would go under the 1-to-2 rule. So if they do receive the 100 million euros for Frankie, you take away the 23 million of the amortization, then you divide that in half, and that would leave Barcelona with 38 million euros to sign a new player with, again, a salary of around 5.4, which again, you're not going to find a player as good as Frankie or even close for those figures. So no, you cannot sell Frankie for 100 and bring Leao. You cannot sell Araujo for 100 and bring Leao. Barcelona would have to sell several great players in order to bring someone like Leao or someone as good as the players that Barcelona would have to sell. So this is another reason why Barcelona are not looking to offload any important players. It would be weakening the squad. And mathematically speaking, it would make absolutely no sense, or I should say financially speaking, It would make no sense. And speaking of signing players, one player that Barcelona want to sign in the summer transfer market is Joao Cancelo, who Barcelona are hoping to negotiate another season loan for the Portuguese fullback with an obligation to buy. Of course, Manchester City are for now saying no, they want to offload him on a permanent basis, but Jorge Mendes has been dispatched to England in order to continue with these negotiations. Now, speaking of Joao Cancelo, the player has given us an interview where he discussed his time at Manchester City. He called all those stories about him being an indisciplined player as fake story, and then he went on by saying that Manchester City are ungrateful. Now, this is what Joao Cancelo had to say. I remember once I was robbed and assaulted at home, and the next day I was playing at Emirates against Arsenal. These are things you don't forget. I left my wife and daughter alone at home, still scared, in shock, to play for City. At City, it was a bit ungrateful to talk about me like this. I've been an important player for them. So Joao Cancelo recalling his time at Manchester City, saying that he was an important player for them. He even made sacrifices for them. And for Manchester City to talk about him the way they've been, he calls it ungrateful. Now, Joao Cancelo did say that the greatest coach is Pep Guardiola. He had a lot of great things to say about Pep Guardiola. And he did eventually finish the interview by saying that his future is at Barcelona, that he dreams to play for Barcelona. So we're going to have to see what Barcelona can do in regards to the negotiations. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a like. Also, I would like to invite all of you to please leave a comment down below, giving me all your thoughts and opinions about all the news that I share with you. And finally, I would like to invite all of you to please subscribe to the channel so you can stay current on all the latest news in regards to our beloved club, FC Barcelona. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. And as always, Visca Barça.